Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're keeping tabs on the enterprise analytics space, maybe you're a stakeholder looking at a big platform decision, or maybe you're just wondering why your competitor suddenly, slashed their IT budget.
Yeah.
There's this huge upheaval happening right now.
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
So today we're diving deep into that shift in business intelligence, specifically what we're calling the great migration from Tableau to Power BI.
It really is more than just like a minor trend. It's a major market realignment. And it's being driven by some pretty serious financial and strategic pressures.
Right.
Just to give you a sense of the scale here, Power BI now holds around 30% of the total business intelligence market share. Tableau's sitting at about 20%.
30 versus 20. Wow.
Yeah, and when you see that kind of movement that fast, especially in enterprise software, well, you've got to ask what's causing it, right? What kicked off that domino effect?
And that's exactly what we're here to do today. We're going to unpack the, let's say, three main drivers forcing companies, big and small, really, to make this switch. We think it boils down to, 1, this drastic cost difference, 2, that seamless Microsoft ecosystem integration, and 3, frankly, better self-service and AI stuff.
Sounds about right.
So let's start where the CFOs probably start. The price tag.
Definitely. The cost disparity is, well, it's off of the shock factor. It's the immediate thing that makes people look twice. And the math is honestly incredibly simple, but the implications are huge. So if you look at the actual license costs, they're just dramatically different.
Okay, give us the numbers.
A Tableau creator license, that's about $70 per user per month.
$70, okay.
Power BI Pro, just $14 per user per month.
14. So 70 versus 14, that's 5 times cheaper just on the license fee.
Exactly, 5 times.
But okay, that immediately makes me think, like anyone who's bought enterprise software before, is the cheaper one actually as good? What are you giving up for that lower price?
That's a totally fair question. And look, if it was just about feature-for-feature parity, maybe you'd expect a compromise somewhere. But here, the cost benefit is actually more a reflection of Microsoft's whole ecosystem strategy, which I know we'll get into.
Okay.
But maybe more importantly, the long-term ROI is where the numbers really back up the move. The savings go way beyond just that monthly subscription cost.
How far beyond?
Enterprises are reporting savings of 40% to 60% on their total BI spending after making the switch.
40 to 60% on everything.
Yeah.
That's massive. That's capital you can reinvest somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So where do those extra savings come from then, if it's not just the license?
It's getting rid of all those hidden costs that tend to drag down the older BI platforms.
Like what?
Well, things like expensive hardware maintenance contracts, especially for older on-prem setups, needing more IT staff just to manage system updates and security touches. And then there's the custom development costs, the integration costs that pile up because, the platform doesn't naturally connect well with the tools people use every day.
Right, the stuff that isn't on the initial quote but adds up fast.
Precisely. And all that financial pressure, it kind of naturally nudges companies towards the cloud, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it has to.
Exactly. The push to save money and just simplify operations forces this pivot away from those high-maintenance on-premises solutions. Companies are moving towards cloud-based BI.
Why the cloud specifically for BI?
Well, cloud analytics platforms give you instant scalability. You don't need that huge upfront hardware investment. You get automatic security updates rolled out, and it just drastically cuts down on the infrastructure maintenance overhead. It's a fundamental shift in managing IT resources, really, and the BI layer just has to keep up.
Okay, so cost gets the conversation started. Huge savings, cloud advantages. But what makes companies stay? This migration feels like it has to be more strategic than just saving a buck.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely strategic.
Which brings us to that second point.
Yeah.
Ecosystem fluency. That feels like the glue for a modern company, right?
Integration is it's non-negotiable now. It really is. Modern businesses, so many of them, are built on the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah, Office 365, Teams, SharePoint. It's everywhere.
It's pervasive. And if your main analytics tool needs complex middleware or like a separate login just to talk to your basic Excel files or your ERP system, you're immediately creating friction. You're breaking the workflow.
Yeah, I can picture that headache right now. Someone exports data from the BI tool, pastes it into Excel, emails it. Suddenly you've got different versions floating around.
That's the old way, exactly. Data silos, reliability risks.
So how does Power BI avoid that?
Well, it works natively with Office 365, with Teams, with SharePoint. Like, right out of the box. No extra setup, no custom connectors needed for those core things.
Okay.
And often those existing Microsoft Enterprise licenses, they already include Power BI access. So that's another layer of cost saving and simplicity right there.
That's clever bundling. And
Yeah.
what about the data flow itself?
It's much smoother. You can have, say, a shared data model that's feeding your main dashboard. And that same model can connect natively to an Excel spreadsheet if someone wants to do a quick pivot table or some ad hoc analysis, all within that unified Microsoft environment.
So no exporting and importing.
Exactly. And that unification brings really important benefits. Things like single sign-on across all your apps, shared data models, which is huge for consistency, and crucially, native connectivity with Azure cloud services. That's vital if you're dealing with really big data.
Right, connecting to the cloud data warehouse.
Yeah. And this kind of fluency, this seamlessness, it's absolutely essential for companies that are serious about digital transformation. They need real-time insights, automated reporting, stuff that actually helps people make better decisions faster without creating those awful data silos we mentioned.
Okay, so we've got costs, we've got integration. Let's move beyond that to the features themselves. This feels like where the shift becomes really strategic, democratizing data, right?
Yes, absolutely. We've definitely seen this strategic push towards empowering, the regular business user, the non-technical folks.
Because traditionally, BI was an IT thing.
Totally. Legacy BI tools. They needed specialized technical skills. You often needed constant IT help just to get a report updated or modified.
Right, creating bottlenecks. I remember those days, waiting like 3 days just to get a simple headcount report tweaked.
Exactly. And that delay, it just kills any momentum for making timely decisions based on that data. The technical barrier was just way too high for your average manager or analyst.
So how does Power BI lower that barrier?
It focuses heavily on self-service analytics. It offers things like drag and drop report building, which is pretty intuitive for non-tech users.
Okay.
It also has natural language query capabilities. So users can literally type questions in plain English like, show me sales trends for product X in the last quarter.
Ask it like you'd ask a person.
Pretty much. And it provides mobile responsive dashboards so people can get insights anywhere on their phone or tablet. The goal is really to get data into the hands of everyone who needs it quickly and easily.
And then there's the AI and machine learning piece. You mentioned that earlier. That feels like a really key differentiator, moving beyond just cost.
It is. This is sort of the future-proofing aspect. Power BI has built-in AI visuals readily available, things like key influencers, which automatically show what's driving a metric up or down, or decomposition trees that help you break down a number.
So insights without manual stats analysis.
Right. You don't need to manually run regressions or anything. And maybe even more powerfully, there's deep integration with Azure Machine Learning.
What does that enable?
It brings predictive analytics directly to the business user. So they're not just looking at what happened last month. They can start projecting what might happen next month right there inside their main BI tool.
Wow. So the average business user gets access to forecasting without needing to call in a dedicated data science team every time.
That's the idea. It really democratizes that predictive capability.
That is powerful.
And, because Microsoft pours billions into the whole Power Platform, you get continuous innovation, regular feature updates, always aligning with the broader Microsoft Cloud strategy. That investment also pays off in just raw performance for enterprises.
Which brings us neatly to scalability and security. Because for big organizations, those are absolutely non-negotiable, aren't they?
Oh, totally paramount. Can't deploy without them.
No.
For large companies, scalability means Power BI needs to handle massive data sets efficiently. It does that using things like optimized in-memory processing.
And security.
On the security side, you've got enhanced features like row-level security. That lets you control exactly what data individual users can see based on their role or department.
Crucial for compliance.
Absolutely. Plus, it comes with comprehensive compliance certifications, GDPR, HIPAA, SOX, the big ones. That's critical for anyone in regulated industries. Security and compliance aren't just bolted on. They have to be baked in from the start.
Okay, this all sounds great on paper, cheaper, better integrated, smarter features, secure, scalable. But let's be real. If you're a company that spent years, maybe decades, building thousands of complex Tableau workbooks and dashboards, the idea of migrating sounds, frankly, terrifying.
Yeah, it's definitely not a trivial task.
It's not just a one-click process, is it? You've got to convert all those workbooks, rebuild potentially thousands of calculations, make sure all the visuals and functionality carry over.
You've hit on the major implementation hurdle right there. Doing that manually, migrating from Tableau, it can be incredibly time-consuming and really prone to errors.
Especially the calculations, I imagine.
Exactly. Rebuilding complex calculated fields from Tableau into DAX formulas in Power BI, that can take hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of just painstaking manual work.
Can you just quickly explain DAX for anyone listening who isn't familiar?
Sure, DAX stands for Data Analysis Expressions. It's basically the formula language Power BI and other Microsoft analysis tools use for calculations, aggregations, that sort of thing.
Right.
And because Tableau and Power BI use fundamentally different ways of calculating things under the hood, you can't just copy and paste a complex Tableau formula. It won't work, or worse, it might give you the wrong answer.
Which would kill user trust instantly.
Instantly. Tiny mistakes in that manual conversion can completely compromise report reliability.
Okay, so if doing it manually is this huge, costly, risky bottleneck,
Yeah.
how does a big company actually tackle this without just throwing, thousands of consulting hours and potentially millions of dollars at the problem?
Well, this is where these automated migration accelerators come in. They're becoming pretty essential, actually.
Automated tools, how do they work?
They're typically AI-powered tools designed specifically to automate those really complex, repetitive conversion tasks. We're talking about things like direct file conversion.
So taking the old Tableau file.
Right. Taking a Tableau TWB file, for instance, and automatically converting it into a functional Power BI PBIP project file.
So instead of starting from scratch, the tool gives you a working structure.
That's the core idea, yeah. It gives you a huge head start. And critically, it handles the intelligent formula translation.
Translating Tableau formulas to DAX.
Exactly. It ensures those complex Tableau calculations become optimized DAX measures in Power BI. It preserves visual elements, layouts, tries to make the Power BI version look and feel as close as possible to the original Tableau report.
What's the impact of using a tool like that?
The efficiency gain is just staggering. We've seen automation eliminate something like 2,160 hours of manual development effort on a typical large project.
Wow. Thousands of hours saved.
Yeah. Which means significantly reduced consulting costs, obviously, but also just a much faster time to value. You get users onto the new platform quicker, using reliable reports. It ensures consistency, maintains that familiar look and feel people rely on, but on the new, more stable platform.
And that efficiency gain ties right back to the ROI we talked about at the start, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
You save on the license, you save because integration is smoother, and you save potentially huge amounts on the migration process itself.
It makes the whole business case much stronger. And it's not just about the initial saving, it sets you up better for the future.
I'll say.
It creates a BI system that's generally easier to maintain, easier to update, easier to scale as your business needs change. That reduces your long-term operational costs right across the board.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this for you, the listener. The big drivers pushing this massive analytics migration from Tableau to Power BI seem to be threefold. First, that overwhelming cost difference we heard, potential total savings up to 60%. Second, the absolute necessity of native Microsoft integration for Office 365, Azure, everything.
Right, for that digital transformation piece.
And third, the strategic power you get from better self-service analytics backed up by those built-in AI and machine learning capabilities.
Yeah, I think that covers the core reasons pretty well. And if we maybe zoom out for a second, connect this to the bigger picture.
Go for it.
Well, forecasts show the global BI market hitting something like $26.5 billion by 2033. And what's driving that growth? Mostly cloud adoption and AI integration.
The very things we've been talking about.
Exactly. So companies are clearly prioritizing things like ecosystem compatibility, automating insights, maybe even over just raw visualization power these days.
Which raises a really interesting question for you listening at home or in the car.
Yeah, the question becomes, how quickly will the ability to truly democratize AI and predictive analytics not just visualize what already happened, but predict what's next? How quickly will that become the main way we measure the value of an enterprise BI platform?
A really compelling question to chew on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this has armed you with some useful knowledge for navigating the BI landscape.